if I don't go to the gym, I might not leave the house. Like that's my reason for getting out. There's days where I just don't want to go. And I just say, you know what, just go. Because if you don't, you're going to be pissed at yourself for not going. So what's the point? Once you get there, you'll do it. Just do what you can.
Welcome to the FUMS Now podcast show, where you'll gain information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with multiple sclerosis. Find us online at FUMSnow.com. I'm your host, Kathy Reagan Young. Hey everybody, so glad you're here with me again today. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast to be sure you don't miss an episode. And I'd sure appreciate it if you'd leave me a rating and review at Apple Podcasts. I read every single one, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. It really helps the FUMS podcast with exposure too. The more people that learn about FUMS, the more people helped, and that's the goal. So thanks for your help. My guest today is Adam Powell. He was an athlete, a workaholic, a beast. He was the guy people called when they needed something ripped out of the ground or needed help moving things. Then on June 17th, 2019, everything changed. He was diagnosed with primary progressive MS, the fastest, most aggressive case his doctors ever seen. And within 5 months, he was unable to walk. Through sheer will, determination, resilience, or in his own words, being a stubborn asshole, he was able to learn how to walk again. I find Adam's positive outlook and forward-looking plans to be so uplifting. I'm sure you will too. So let's meet him. Welcome, Adam.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you for inviting me on here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So we met because I have a, first Friday of every month, FUMS Positivity Support Group meeting on Zoom.
Right. That is correct.
And I think, was it through Mindy that you got there? Mindy's group in
yes,
Michigan?
Through the yoga group.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of people in there from that group. So, and you came on and you told your story and I was blown away. And it's been my great honor to get to know you better. And just your whole attitude is just infectious. And so I really wanted to have you. I really wanted to share you because I think it will help people for sure. Yeah.
My first meeting that I joined, I was actually still on my cross-country road trip. I was at my buddy's house and I joined from his office.
I remember that. That's right. All right. So let's start with, if you don't mind, sharing your story, but like pre-diagnosis, who you were, what you were doing. Just bring us right up to your diagnosis.
All right. Well, pre-diagnosis, I was on top of the world. I had a great job at UPS. I was moving up the ranks. I was doing well, making good money. I was an athlete. I was playing sports. I was doing everything. I had no concerns about anything. I just was moving forward.
Yeah.
And then January of 19, I thought I had a hernia. And so I started going to the doctor for that. I could barely walk. My whole lower IT band was terrible. Mm-hmm. So I went in, doctor, he told me to see a hernia specialist, went to the hernia specialist. They called it a sports hernia. So it wasn't an actual hernia, it was a sports hernia, which I'd never heard of before.
Me neither.
So they said they didn't need surgery, but go to therapy. So I started going to physical therapy and it helped for that, the lower back and the groin pain and all that. But as I was in there, I was like, yeah, my legs, they just feel weird. They feel numb. My balance is really off. So they thought, well, pinched nerve, probably a pinched nerve. So we worked on that. You know, they did the x-rays from the doctor. I have lower back issues just from working physical labor jobs my whole life. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing I focused on, pinched nerve.
Sure.
So kept going through therapy. It helped, but it didn't help that. So the balance was off. The legs just did not feel right to me. So went back to my doctor and told him all that. And that's when he sent me to a neurologist. So I started going down that path and getting poked and prodded and doing every test you can possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. So the last one they did was a spinal tap, which is a whole debacle.
Good times. Good times. Yeah.
Like the spinal tap itself wasn't bad. It was afterwards that was bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got the spinal leak. So I had to go back in for a blood patch. The doctor I had at the time was not great. Like, I'm so glad I got rid of him. But I ended up spending the weekend in the hospital because they couldn't get the blood patch in. And when I went into the hospital, they couldn't do a blood patch because I was showing neurological symptoms.
God.
Which is the whole point of me having the spinal tap.
Right.
So that finally got worked out. Got a spinal tap. 2 weeks later, June 17th, I went back in, and that's when they said primary progressive MS. And from there, it went downhill quick. But
oh my God. Had you ever did you know anything about MS at that point?
I knew that it stood for multiple sclerosis.
That was it.
That's it. That is the extent of it. I've heard, friends of the family that have had it, but I had no idea. And it was
quite the shocker.
I stayed off Google and I stayed off WebMD.
Good for you. Nobody does that. Good for you.
I did not want to read into that and just psych myself up and just read all the horror stories. So I just, unfortunately, I learned it the hard way. I mean, I got a crash course in it, but at least I know it personally now. Right. And I can share that with others.
Right. And that's key. And unfortunately, most people, me included, went right to Dr. Google, which is horrible. And what I finally figured out was, I know I'm suggestible as hell. So I want whatever my experience is going to be just to be my experience. And I don't want to be suggested into anything else. Do you know what I mean? So if for no other reason than that, I obviously follow all things MS, but if I have kind of a new symptom or something, I will not go down that rabbit hole because
I same thing. I was just about to say rabbit hole.
It is a rabbit hole too.
I chose not to do it, and I'm glad I didn't.
Good. Yeah. No, I think that's really smart. And that's your first piece of really great advice that you're giving to everybody today. So thanks for that. So, okay, you got this fantastic news that you have PPMS. And as I said in the intro, your doctor said it was like the most aggressive case he's ever seen it.
Yeah, that was once I finally got to my new doctor at the University of Michigan. So the first time I saw him, he called it the fastest, most aggressive case he's ever seen. And I didn't get to him until September. So it took me, how many months was that? 3 months to get into him. And I'm so glad I did because I love him. I love his team. I do all my rehab there, everything. A good doctor is so important. And for a lot of us, it's elusive. I am starting at a new MS center next month, as a matter of fact, at the University of Virginia. So here's hoping. But I am so envious of those who are with good doctors and the stories that I hear about their care and just the progressive thinking is great. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm glad you got to a good one so early. You'll hear the opposite side of that in a little bit for the bad doctor. So, all right. So So let's just back up for a minute. You got this diagnosis. Okay. Adam Powell, you now have PPMS. Mm-hmm. Now what? Now it was, I wasn't technically off work. I went off for the spinal tap and I told them, I'll probably need a couple days. Well, that turned into 5 weeks. Oh, so gosh. I burned all 5 weeks of vacation. My follow-up appointment wasn't until July, 19th or 20th or so. So I burned all my 5 weeks. I actually went back to work for about 2 days just because that's the type of person I was. I'm out of vacation. I can't miss days. So I went back to work. Finally went back to the doctor and he took me off for 6 months. That was the initial thing. You're off work for 6 months. He had all these plans, you're going to get on Ocrevus, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So it all sounded great because, I'm listening to my doctor. The man with the plan, right? I'm trusting my doctor. That's all it was a plan. There was no follow through. So even from the bat, I wanted to get into either U of M or the Owasso Clinic, which Dr. Rainey Aburashed, which I'm sure you've heard of, he runs the Owasso Clinic, and those are the top two that I had heard of, and that's where I wanted to go. And let's just say this is in Michigan for everybody that's listening. Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you were able to get in to where you wanted to get in. Finally, the U of M, correct. Good. In September. And you met with a great doctor that you're still seeing today and you're very happy with. Yes. At what point, though, were you
still walking when you got there? Because I'm trying to do the math. I think you said within 5 months, right?
Yeah, I was still walking when I went off work. I was still walking. I didn't need a cane or anything, but it was hard. Like after so long, I would just get fatigued, and I found myself touching things a lot
while walking.
Basically, yeah.
Familiar.
So I did all that, and I was going through the whole process of, applying for disability and trying to figure out what was going on, figuring out the symptoms that were happening. So that leads to November. So in November, I'm finally happy. I'm good. My doctor's great now.
Yeah.
November, I call my benefits resource center for work just to find out, what my benefits are, what I have to do, all this stuff. Yeah. And they tell me that I don't have insurance.
What?
And I lost my insurance on October 11th. So for a month, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Oh my God. How could they not let you know about that? That's crazy.
I don't know. So I lost my insurance. So that led to a downward spiral because, all the stress of that, I was on the phone for hours every day trying to get that deal. So from November to December, that's when I went downhill. That's when I started using cane, started having more bowel bladder problems, then I couldn't use a cane anymore. I had to move to a walker. And then the walker wasn't enough for appointments. I had to move to a wheelchair. So within a month, I declined. Like I still to this day say that doctor, he took my legs from me.
Yeah.
Because
oh my gosh.
I could have got on Ocrevus in November, but I didn't get it until at the end of January. And by then, all the damage has already been done.
Oh, God. I just want to circle back for a second in case people are listening in that are caregivers or family members or whomever and don't understand the association we just made with stress. So stress is so horrible for everyone. Stress is awful for everyone. But Adam and I can tell you, in particular, with MS, it is, I think, probably the worst thing for us, honestly.
It's a killer.
It's awful. And I can feel it when I'm getting stressed. My symptoms come on and my fatigue and everything else, and it can do damage. It can, I'm very visual, and I always picture stress with these little people running around in my brain and placing lesions. That's how it feels, right?
Yeah. Or just pulling out wires.
Yeah. I'm unplugging this. Now that shit doesn't work. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So I just wanted to circle back and make sure that anybody listening in understood that connection. So, wow. Okay. So you got into a good clinic, got in with a great doc, finally got your Ocrevus. But at that point now you've lost the ability to walk. You've had this steep decline.
Yep. And drive. I lost the ability to drive too.
Drive, yeah.
Yep, couldn't drive anymore because I didn't trust my feet.
And you had applied for disability because you could no longer work.
Yep.
And that's not stressful at all to have to apply for disability. That's a super easy, quick, no problem thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you finally get it?
I did. Like getting the actual Social Security disability was a breeze. Like that was.
Oh my God. Nobody says that.
Like it was amazing. I went through a group called ALSUP.
Oh, I've interviewed them for this podcast, as a matter of fact.
It was super smooth, but getting the long-term disability through the work, that was what the problem was.
That was the problem. Gotcha.
So that's what I lost the insurance, lost that. So,
oh, jeez.
And it all stemmed back from the original doctor. Like he took me off work for 6 months, but the reports that he was sending in, they're maybe a paragraph long. And I remember reading one, it basically said that I was okay, that my gait was fine, my everything, cognition was fine, everything was fine. So they just like, this guy can work. And that's when it was, lost it.
Oh, so again, just to circle back for a minute, your doctor, when you're out on disability leave for a business, your company, your doctor has to send in monthly, right? Kind of updates on you and how you're doing.
Every visit, they just got to send them off.
And so what he was saying was you were okay, and you were definitively not okay.
I was not okay.
Oh my God, what the hell? That's awful. That is terrible. So, okay. Glad to hear that you did get disability. Did you get the long-term straightened out finally?
I did. I got it all straightened out, got the Social Security disability. It was moving smoothly. Once I got my infusion in Ocrevus, I was like, all right, I'm finally going to stop this decline. And I was able to finally get into physical therapy. I had plans to start driving again, try to get hand control. So I had all these plans and everything was going well. And then COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And
COVID.
I didn't leave my house for 4 months, not once. Because I couldn't drive. I couldn't. And I was worried about it, compromised immune system. Nobody knows what's going on. So it was
so scary, wasn't it?
It was a dark time. It really was.
Right. Well, that brings me to, you said to me that there was a grieving process you had to go through when you were diagnosed. And I know this is a little beyond that, but I think we can all relate to the grieving with COVID. But bring us back to the grieving process you referenced with MS.
It was during that time when I went through it all. Because I had to grieve for the loss of my own life as I knew it. It was, everything had changed, At that point, I was basically in a wheelchair and everything changed. So
lost your independence.
Those 4 months of not going anywhere, it was hard. It was, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? What's the point of doing it? Why? What am I going to do with my life now? All of it. I went through the darkest of times.
Yeah. That's tough stuff.
And I think it was needed though, because I needed to process all that and kind of just get rid of it, I guess. Because if I wouldn't have gone through that process, I don't think I would have been able to move forward.
Wow. That is such an interesting discovery. And that's great for everybody to hear because, of course, just like with MS, everyone is different with MS, but also just we're all different and but there does need to be a processing of this. And you certainly came out the other side better for it. And it's interesting to hear you say you really needed to go through that to come out the other side as you did. But so that was turned around. You have quite a story to tell. So
once June of 2020 hit, I was able to go back to physical therapy. And I made the conscious decision that I am not going to be this guy in the wheelchair. I will not, that's never how I've been. I don't give up on anything. Mm-hmm. So I made the conscious decision that I'm going to learn how to walk again and I'm going to just keep going. And since then, it's what I've been doing. Yeah,
you said FUMS without saying FUMS. You said it in your head.
I say it a lot.
Yeah, actually. I know you do now.
I actually have it. I have that tattooed on my body.
Yay! Yeah. I love that. I do. It's funny. I get random pictures sent to me of tattoos, different places, and oftentimes they're so close up I can't tell where they are. I'm like, I think it's probably better that I don't know where this is. But.
Yeah, I got the tattoo about a month after I got diagnosed.
That's cool. The doors to the Patients Getting Paid membership community are now wide open. This is a community of people with chronic illness learning to find and create flexible remote work that accommodates their health. I call us chronicpreneurs. There are trainings, coaching calls, networking opportunities, co-workings, and a ton of resources. Want to take better care of yourself and still generate an income? Join us at patientsgettingpaid.com. I happen to know, because I know it from this end of things, you did a cross-country trip, which is mind-blowing to me. I met you while you were on the cross-country trip. So tell us about that.
So how it came about was it all revolved around a tattoo. I really did. That's how it started. I got a tattoo from a guy at the Detroit convention, Wade Bird, out in Kalispell, Montana. Mm. So it was an amazing piece on my forearm, and I wanted to go and get it done. So summer of 19, I had all my vacations picked out, and one of them was going to be to fly out to Montana and get the tattoo done. The other one was going to be to fly out to Colorado and see my cousin and his wife. So these are all planned out, ready to go. I hadn't bought tickets or anything yet, but I had the time off. So when I got MS, obviously I had to burn all my vacations. None of that happened. So I finally was able to start driving again with hand controls in November of last year, which was huge. Like I barely have words for that, because to have that freedom again. So
talking about that. Yeah.
February rolls around and I'm just like, I want to do something. I can drive again. I can do it. So I started planning this trip and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Montana. I'm going to drive out there. I'm going to get my tattoo. I'm going to go see Glacier National Park.
Oh, cool.
My original plan was go to Kalispell for like a week, see Glacier, go through Yellowstone, go see my cousin for a couple of days. So it was like maybe 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got to Kalispell, it was, well, where else can I? What else can I? So I ended up going to 7 different national parks.
Oh my gosh.
Went to Glacier, Yosemite, Sequoia, Redwood, Grand Canyon, Monuments Park in Colorado, and then Rocky Mountain Park. So that was just what the trip was. I stopped and saw random friends on the way that I haven't seen in one of the guys I stopped in Idaho, I hadn't seen for 15 years.
Wow.
He just happened to be out there. It was close. And I was like, hey, want to hang out? Yeah, sure. So stayed with him for a couple of days.
Oh my God. I love this story for so many reasons, not the least of which is you just got handed a shit sandwich and you were like, I'm not taking a bite of this.
Yeah.
And I want to do something and I'm going to go do it. I just love that.
As I left my driveway, I didn't know if I could do it.
Were you nervous or were you? Okay. So you were both nervous and excited.
Yeah. Cause the longest I had driven with my hand controls before that was like a 2-hour trip to Grand Rapids and back. That was it. And
is there training involved in the hand controls?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had to go through, like driver's training and learn how to do it. So got through that. But as I left, it was like, man, I have a 27.5-hour drive to Kalispell, which I had broken up. I was like, all right, I'm going to try to stop here. And then I'll try to stop here. But I was like, man, 9 hours, 10 hours a day driving in a car.
I know. That would be tough on any body, much less a body with MS. Yeah,
I was, while I was driving, I was doing little marches with my legs to keep them moving. Every time I stopped, I was doing stretches and, kind of like some yoga moves just to keep things moving. And then once I got to the hotel, like I just crashed.
Yeah, I bet.
In bed, crashed, woke up, and did it all over again.
Yeah.
That's how the trip was.
Right. But you found it incredibly empowering, right?
I did.
Yeah, because you did it anyway.
It was soul cleansing, like just to see all that. Like I've never been to the Pacific Northwest ever.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And it was beautiful. Just random stops here. And, look at that waterfall there. Oh, I'm going to go to the ocean here. I actually walked into the ocean. I walked into the Pacific Ocean across this beach that was like a half mile long, that's a long way to walk for me.
That is I've already got the movie in mind. I'm seeing the movie of your life already, and that is in there too.
And I documented the whole journey on Facebook, pictures, videos, mainly for like my groups back here, my MS groups, just to be like, look, it can be done. Like,
right. Oh, so inspiring. Yeah, that is so inspiring. You told me that the gym has been a huge part of your recovery. And we were talking before I hit record too, because there was just a little extra time today and you were like, oh, that's enough time to go to the gym. So you went and did that. And I told you, you're so inspirational about that. And I know that it's helpful physically and mentally, but you are so committed. It's like 6 days a week, right? You're there.
6 days a week. I've been doing it for 4.5 months now, 6 days a week.
Yeah. And what do you do? Like,
I started out, how it happened was when I came back from my trip, I went right back to therapy. So I got back in June, and then middle of July, my therapist said, you don't need me anymore. And I pleaded with her and saying, yes, I do. I really do.
Don't leave me.
I did too. And she's like, no, you don't. And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, I can do this stuff on my own, but if it gets too easy, then what? Like, I'm not going to know how to move on to the next thing. And she's like, you'll be fine. You're fine. So I was like, all right, well, let's do this then. So when I started out with 3 days a week, just legs, just focusing on legs, just doing the stuff that she taught me in therapy. And about a month later, I was like, I'm here now. I might as well try doing upper body. And I did. And then I was able to do it. And I just kept going. Like, my fatigue levels got way better, because when I first started out, I couldn't even do therapy one day and then do a yoga class the next day. I needed a day in between. So I did it slow, I did it steady. And now it's, I've gone 26 days a month for the last 4 months.
Wow, that's so impressive.
I missed one day in December, which was Christmas Eve. And that was the day I finally got my infusion.
Oh, yeah. Yay. That's a workout of a different kind.
Well, one day I missed in 4 months.
That's so good. And as we were talking before I hit record, this is not just physically good for you. Can you talk a little bit about the mental benefits?
For me, if I don't go to the gym, I might not leave the house. Like, that's my reason for getting out. And then if like I said, I missed one day, and there's been a lot of days that I don't want to go. Like, I'm terrible. I feel awful, especially in the morning. Like, it takes me an hour to get moving, to get my joints moving. Right. So there's days where I just don't want to go. And I just say, you know what, just go, because if you don't, you're going to be pissed at yourself for not going. So what's the point? Once you get there, you'll do it. Just do what you can.
Yeah.
I always try to keep moving forward, but there's days that I can't do some stuff. So I just don't, and just move on to the next. But mentally, it's been huge, because it just gives me something to do and a reason to get out of the house. And while I'm there, I always think back, if I have a bad day, I just think, last June, I couldn't even sit to stand barely. Now I'm doing it with weights. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm walking on the treadmill every day. Right. Sometimes I can't do the full 10 minutes that I want to, but I do as much as I can.
Yeah, do what you can. I love that. And I bet that you can honestly say that you've never regretted a day that you've made it to the gym, right?
No, never.
Yeah, I remember seeing that sign somewhere about, push yourself to go, because you never regret the time that you spend there, which is true. Yep. It's just getting there sometimes. It's so tough, talking yourself into it. But it's good now you've got all this experience and history of having gone, and how good it makes you feel. So that's going to help a little bit in getting your ass out of bed to go.
Yeah.
Hello there, friends. It's Matthew Zachary, and I'm really excited to tell you about a fascinating new podcast called Healthy Conversations, hosted by my friend and colleague, Dr. Daniel Kraft, and presented by CVS Health. Every other week, Daniel drives one-on-one interviews with the people who are transforming healthcare in real time: physicians, scientists, technologists, and industry leaders. Let's go beyond COVID-19 to a place where telemedicine and mRNA are nothing more than table stakes. Let's hear about tomorrow's precision oncology treatments, the latest in guided genetic health, and the evolution of value-based care. Maybe the breakthrough research that is redefining functional medicine. You'll hear from the people who are innovating tomorrow's clinical insights today. It's been said that the future is already here. It just hasn't been democratized yet. Healthy Conversations with Dr. Daniel Kraft from CVS Health does just that. It's available for free wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes appear every other week. Subscribe, listen, and learn today.
You mentioned that you had some battles with some doctors and health insurance. So obviously you're in with a good doctor now. How's your health insurance now? What are you on now?
Right now, I actually just switched to Medicare this week. Okay. I'm finally able to get on Medicare. So that's been a process in itself to find a plan that I can keep my doctors, covers all my insurance. But I found a good one. I think it's going to be a little touch and go for a little while, just to see how
try
it goes.
out, right? Yeah.
And plus it's a new year, so you obviously get hit with all the cost. And so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But at least I have it. That's all that matters, you know?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And talk about a stressor there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned to me in the past about some patches that you've been using for several months now and that they've been super helpful for you. I'd love it if you'd share that product and your experience. Where I was looking for products that can help the MS community.
Yeah, they're called LifeWave. They're LifeWave patches. Their main patch is called the X39.
Okay.
If people want to get more information on it, I'll give a brief little rundown, but they can go to startx39.com. And it kind of just, they have a couple of videos on there that gives a rundown of what it is, and how it does. I started it in March, so right before my trip.
Okay.
And what it is it's a wellness patch. There's 0 dosage, no prescriptions, non-narcotic, non-invasive, non-digestive. It's a little Band-Aid that you put on you, basically, is what it looks like. And it's pluripotent, which I didn't even know what that means, but it has a potential of taking on a bunch of different roles in the body, including all of more than 200 different cell types. So it helps the body heal itself. Light therapy is what they claim it to be. The body emits a certain light and it bounces it back and helps the body heal the cells. So I started on the X39 and the Ice Wave. Ice Wave's for pain.
Okay.
Started it before my trip. And initially, even in the first 2 weeks, I saw a difference. I originally would get weekly crushing headaches, a headache where I couldn't do anything all day. And those stopped. I stopped having those headaches.
Wow.
Sleeping. It took me 2 hours to fall asleep, 2 to 3 hours to fall asleep. And then I'd wake up in the middle of the night and it'd take me another hour to fall asleep. So I was getting 5 hours of sleep a night on and off. Yeah, that stopped. I was able to fall asleep. I can have a certain bedtime. You know, I'm getting a pretty solid 8 hours of sleep now a night. My energy was a lot better. My walking on the trip, I walked about 2 to 3 miles a day on my trip.
Jeez.
And before that, I was lucky to get a mile.
Yeah.
I'd check my watch and scroll back and see. And it was, 2 to 3 miles every day. When I left for the trip, I was actually wearing ACL braces on both knees so they wouldn't hyperextend. And in the middle of my trip, I just stopped wearing them.
Wow.
And have not put them back on since.
That's quite an endorsement.
Yeah. So
the way you described that, I think it sounds very similar to Tau patch, if you've heard of that. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
Well, I didn't either, but I think it was last year, maybe the year before. I don't know. They're all running together, particularly post-COVID, right?
Yeah, it all blends
Time
together.
warp. But I did an interview with their founder here in the U.S., and it's the what you just said about the light therapy. It's the same thing. So I just bring that up because I know that has been pretty widely talked about in the MS community. So it sounds pretty similar. So I'm glad that you found something that's been so helpful to you.
Yeah. And I've shared it with the MS groups that I'm in, and some of the people have started using it and they've seen some good results too. So I'm just happy to talk about it and share it because I didn't know anything about it. My friend was the one that told me. She saw amazing results. So I was like, what the hell? Like,
right. What do you got to lose, right? Right.
There's no side effects. It's not drugs. I try to take as few medications as I possibly can. That's just always how I've been. I don't take anything for pain. I use the pain. You know, I don't
want to that beast mode.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the X39 was, it was just great. It's the
awesome.
Energy. It reduces your inflammation, better night's rest, in which I can attest to because
that's huge. Yeah, you're hitting the high points for a lot of folks with MS. For sure.
It's big. You know, energy. Like I said, I had a lot more energy, mental clarity, faster recovery from exercise, which is obviously huge for me now because I can bounce back. I don't need 6
days a week
as much recovery time now.
Right.
I still do. When I get home from the gym, I still rest.
Yeah.
But I don't need it as much now.
Right. That's so good.
It's been great.
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing that resource with us. So it sounds like, okay, you're on Ocrevus.
Yep.
You get exercise 6 days a week. You know how bad stress is for you, so I assume that you do your best to avoid it.
Yeah.
And you obviously have an awesome outlook and attitude. Is there any other thing that you're doing that you find helpful for your MS? Or did I cover it?
What really started it was the Yoga Moves MS community.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mindy Eisenberg, she's amazing.
She's amazing. I had done yoga like twice in my life before that, and I got a flyer from therapy and I just kind of hung it on my whiteboard for a couple weeks. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this out. And then that opened up the whole MS community to me.
Yeah.
Because it was like-minded people and got into support groups and, people that understand. Because before that, I didn't have anyone. Nobody understood. I barely understood what was going on. So how was someone else supposed to?
Right.
So once I got hooked up with all those groups, it was big. The yoga was really big for me, getting me moving. And that's what started it all, was the yoga and the therapy. And
I'm going to link to Mindy's site, Yoga Moves MS.
Yep,
I think it's .org, but I will look that up and it will be in the show notes, which you can always find at FUMSnow.com/podcast.
It is .org.
Is it .org? Okay, thank you. Because she's amazing and everything she does is top shelf. And she works with the MS community every day. Yep. And she also has, I think, since COVID, she went online. So you can do, it used to be you needed to be in Michigan, but she's got people all over the world now. So
all over the world, yeah.
Yeah, so I will link to her site as well. Anyway, I know that you have a heart for helping other people in our MS community and you're launching your own advocacy. So where can people find you?
I'm trying. That's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Help out some people with my story. Hopefully it can help someone out. I've been posting a lot on Facebook. It's my main spot. And I've been sharing my whole journey since my trip. I started out with my trip and then I've just been showing my gym journey and all that. So Facebook, Adam Powell. I know there's a lot of Adam Powells, but I'm sure I can give you the link to it and you can put it in the notes if you want. But you'll see my profile picture is a picture of my fuck MS tattoo. So
awesome. That's how you differentiate the Adams.
Yeah. And then I have Instagram, TikTok, soon to be a YouTube channel, and those are all the same handle, which is MS with the wrong MFer.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Obviously on Instagram, it's got the underscores between them all, but it's spelled out MSD with the wrong MFR.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it's right on brand for FUMS too. So
it is. Yes, it is.
I'm glad that you're here.
So those are all the ones that I have. And, I just keep trying to share and spread. And, if people want to know more about the patches or know anything else, they can hit me up on there. That's my email address too, is ms with the wrong mf'er @gmail.com. So
perfect.
It's all the same handle. So it's pretty.
That's great. Know it once, know it every time.
And then this back here, this Unstoppable, that's kind of what I've been banking on for the past couple months.
Well, Adam Powell, you are unstoppable. And it has been my great honor to have met you and gotten to know you over these months. And I'm grateful that you came on to my show today because I just want to introduce everybody to you. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And it has been great the last few months being able to meet with you guys once a month and chat.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks so much for being here, Adam. We here in the FUMS Nation speak to the stupid diseases it deserves, and we tell it FUMS every day. If you could please lead us in our salute to this bastard with middle fingers extended. Of course, are you ready?
I will. I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
FUMS.
Yay!
There it is.
I love it. I love it. All right, Adam, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Keep going.
Thank you for having me.
Quick shout out to Steve Woodward at podcastingeditor.com for the fantastic work on this podcast, including editing, show notes, and ingenious ideas. If you'd like help with your podcast, whether you're just starting out or an old pro, visit podcastingeditor.com and tell Steve I sent you. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to the FUMS podcast show. Be sure to subscribe to it so you won't miss an episode. You can do that right on the website at FUMSnow.com. While you're there, sign up for the free email list so you'll be among the first to know of any new findings in MS research, new therapies and products, as well as any blog posts and podcast episodes I release. Want to chat with others in the FUMS community? Join us on Facebook at FUMS Now. Thanks again, and don't forget to talk to the stupid disease as it deserves. Tell it FUMS every day.
Hello there, friends. It's Matthew Zachary, and I'm excited to tell you about a great new podcast called Healthy Communities News, presented by CVS Health. Every month, host Melissa Egan engages one-on-one interviews with community leaders from across the country who are tackling the factors outside of the doctor's office that impact health, wellness, and access to high-quality healthcare for everyone. You'll hear about UNCF's efforts to train more Black doctors, and you'll visit a clinic that has served downtown Houston for more than a century. You'll meet the people who hope to eradicate HIV transmission by 2030 and learn about the pandemic successes of a youth services clinic in Florida. Each episode profiles leaders who refuse to back down to local challenges. Healthy Communities News from CVS Health is available wherever you find new podcasts. New episodes appear every month and are available in both audio and video formats. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy today.